came just 6 minutes later. Again, it's Simon Mills involved with the cross, and Nicky Cross on the end of it. Port Vale, 2 goals to the good. Barnsley almost struck back through Steve Lowndes, holding off Alan Webb here, but Mark Grew getting down well. Steve Lowndes. And Lowndes it was involved again, just a few moments later. Neil Aspin, the blonde figure there, the former Leeds player, but again, Mark Grew down well. Again, Aspin here, easily held off, this time by David Curry, and once again it's Mark Grew, this time at the second attempt. 2-0 at half-time to Port Vale. Now watch this incident. The number 9, Steve Cooper, felled, but then clearly retaliating. A long consultation follows between the referee, Gerald Ashby, an accountant, and the linesman. Gerald Ashby making his first appearance as a referee at Oakwell. And the decision, I would have thought, inevitable, although Steve Cooper professes to be surprised. The final humiliation for Barnsley came just 2 minutes from time, and it's a mistake by Paul Futcher, caught in possession. All he can think to do is argue about the decision. And while he's protesting, the ball's up at the other end. That's Ian Miller, the former Blackburn winger. A good run, a perfect cross. And Nicky Cross in plenty of space, unchallenged for his second goal of the game in front of 6,500 people. Barnsley 0, Port Vale 3.
Carl Bradshaw scoring his first goal for the club after 9 minutes, one that Barnsley keeper Clive Baker will want to forget. After that, chances came thick and fast at both ends. David Curry went close for the Reds. And after the break, Ian Banks surged through, only to hit the post. At the other end, Baker made amends for his earlier slip when a clever free kick put Tony Garner through. Then the late drama on 85 minutes, a hopeful cross into the middle, and there was Steve Agnew bursting through to equalise. But Sheffield weren't to be denied. In the last minute, Curry brought down substitute John Francis, and up stepped Ian Bryson to send Baker the wrong way from the spot. If that was a frenetic...
Ian Banks does the necessary from close in. Goals galore in the second half. First, Oxford grab an equaliser from this in-swinging corner. David Curry created the opening for Darren Foreman to put Barnsley ahead again. And when Banks struck again a second time to make it 3-1, it looked all over. Not so. Mark Steen somehow squeezed the ball in from the byline to narrow the gap. And Oxford even looked like levelling again. Undignified maybe, but 3 deserved and welcome points for Barnsley.
Half against Leicester at Oakwell. With just 8 minutes gone, a sweeping move caught Barnsley out down the middle, though the pass which put Mark North in for his first goal of the season seemed a trifle fortunate. There was worse to come. Just 8 minutes later, Clive Baker's wretched clearance went straight to the former Grimsby man North, and his centre brings a first of the season also for a former Leeds player, Tommy Wright. Barnsley's best first half effort on a very windy day coming when Owen Archdeacon's cross finds Ian Banks at the far post. For the header, well, it seemed as though it wasn't going to be Barnsley's day. Well, it was a match full of incidents, not all of it of the right variety. That was a great save from Dobbin, but when Curry tricks and teases his way into a cross into the middle, a real old scuffle ensues after Steve Agnew's header is kept out on the line by Martin Hodge. Barnsley kept working for their breakthrough though, and eventually they got it. And it's a first goal for the club for Owen Archdeacon, following his summer move from Celtic. Then with quarter of an hour to go and having had a couple of penalty appeals turned down, rewarded last for David Curry as he tumbles to Anthony James's tackle. The chance of a leveller, Curry takes it himself, smack into the middle of the net, and a hard-won point for Alan Clark's side. Barnsley 2, Leicester 2.
At Roker Park, and they soon found the Roker men are really flying at the moment.
If Eric Gates is determined to retire at the end of this season, then he's obviously making sure he goes out in style. On the half hour, he latches onto a poor clearance and smashes Sunderland into the lead. It's all about timing. A minute before half-time, another instinctive finish from the team's senior citizen. Richard Ord's knocked down, and Gates belts in another without a moment's hesitation. 2-0 and Sunderland looking good. Even with McPhail and Bracewell both off injured, it was still all going Sunderland's way in the second half. Colin Pascoe homing in on goal, and Clive Baker a mite too enthusiastic in closing down the danger. Penalty. Paul Hardiman is king from the spot. That's 3 in a row, and the game looks all over. But within 3 minutes, Barnsley's fight-back had begun. The Sunderland defence split in two, and David Curry marking his return to the northeast with a neatly taken goal. 3 more minutes on, and Wearside is really worried. Ian Banks sees his free kick hit the bar, and Carl Tyler is quick to react and nods in the rebound. 3-2 now. But even with John Kay limping off, 10 men Sunderland produced a spectacular winner. Colin Pascoe turning well here before playing the 1-2 with Richard Ord. And it's Garry Bennett, the skipper, who wraps up the points with a flourish. 4-2 and great value for the fans.
It's the first time John Beresford has been back to Oakwell since his £300,000 move from Barnsley to Portsmouth just before the transfer deadline in March. An extremely popular player still here. Well, Barnsley haven't won any of their last 4 home games here at Oakwell, so they desperately need a success against one of the surprise strugglers of the second division, Portsmouth. And Ian Wardle has been recalled in goal today. It's his 9th appearance for the club, and that brings him level with the man he's replaced, Clive Baker, who's also played 9 games. Kuehl, good ball over the top, and real danger here. Black has 2 men in the middle waiting. And the diving intervention was by Shotton. So Portsmouth coming into the game a bit more now. Taken short, and nobody went with Wigley. They've allowed him a lot of space here, and there's a goal for Gilligan. What a fine save by young Wardle. Gilligan looked for all the world a scorer. And Barnsley were very slow to react to the short corner. But when it came, Wigley sized up the options, chipped it perfectly. Gilligan, you thought, had to score from there. Marvellous reaction save. Dunphy here has come into the side in the absence of Paul Futcher and plays a good ball for Curry. Curry sets off, surrounded by 3 defenders, still managed to work the ball over for Archdeacon, who has a go with his right foot, and it came off the back of Foreman. Agnew's in there. Took a deflection. Agnew looked as though he was going to find the back of the Portsmouth net then. Yet again, Curry involved. Archdeacon then, it's hit the back of Foreman, who managed to nudge it back for Agnew, and the defender did really well to prevent him scoring. Foreman stuck at it there, on the ball from Beresford. And he probably had no right to it, but Agnew continues the Barnsley attack. And that's yet another free kick given away by Portsmouth. And again it's Graham Hogg, and I think the referee is going to have words with Mr. Hogg. How many times is that he's saying? Agnew and Banks. Agnew a thumper. And Knight, who'd sensibly put on a cap, saw it better. The sun kept out of his eyes, and he managed to fist it away. But it was a really good drive from Steve Agnew. So sensible goalkeeping, really. He shielded his eyes and managed to get his fist in the way. Here's Beresford. Well, they know what he can do here. Oh, and a great cross. It went over the top of Wardle, and Whittingham at the back post just couldn't squeeze the header inside the upright. Well, this is why Portsmouth paid good money for John Beresford. He's got the ability to trick and to deliver a good cross, and Whittingham just couldn't beat the angle. Nice ball, slipped inside for Dobbin. He's lost control of it. Again, it's Beresford. Infield is Gilligan. A ball through here could have them in trouble, and here's Guy Whittingham for Portsmouth. Whittingham, and a good stop again by Wardle. He's still here, though, the centre-forward. Has that got out? It has. So Guy Whittingham, the man who was bought out of the army for £450 in the summer by Portsmouth, causing another anxious moment for Barnsley. What an excellent stop by Wardle again. Whittingham in a very good position to take advantage. Barnsley caught square. Excellent stop with his left hand by Wardle. Foreman can't win it, neither can Archdeacon. It's gone back to Kerry, though. He could thread it through, or tries the shot himself. And Knight has to fling himself to his left. Beresford aims for the longer one this time. Black nudging it onto Neil. The run inside the penalty area by Whittingham, who gets it back. Oh, how did he miss from there? That really should have been 1-0 for Portsmouth. Kuhl's header, but created by Whittingham. And Portsmouth must be kicking themselves for not taking the lead here. Whittingham showing great tenacity and presence to turn that ball back for Kuhl, who put his header over. This is Wigley. Neil on his outside, Kuhl on the inside. All three of them involved. Now Neil's cross, and Wardle, well, he just got a fingertip to it, really. But it's still Beresford for Portsmouth, and that's 1-0 for Portsmouth. And it's Jimmy Gilligan. His second goal for the club inside a week. So the new signing, Jimmy Gilligan, who so nearly joined Bradford City, scores for Portsmouth against another Yorkshire club there. That's Gilligan's trademark, with a firm header from the edge of the 6-yard box. There he is. He's cost Pompey £215,000, and that's why they paid their money. And Portsmouth seem to be growing in confidence to me. They're stroking the ball around nicely now. Beresford down for Wigley, well onside. And Portsmouth, 3 men in and around the penalty area. It's going beyond Wardle. Gilligan couldn't get on the end of it this time. Supported now by Black and by Neil. Good move once more. And Barnsley in real trouble, on top of the net this time from Neil. Dobbin over the top here for Kerry. Well, Kerry was brought down for a penalty last week, but not on that occasion. Portsmouth have defended very solidly, led by the former Manchester United man Hogg. Kerry twisting, turning, trying to find an opening from somewhere. They've really got to try and prize them open anywhere along the line, and they've at long last got a header on target, and they've got a corner as well. Foreman's header, Knight save. So is there life in the game yet? A matter of seconds only. Robinson delivers the corner. Oh, and it went over the top of him as he rushed in Tyler. Archdeacon's got to supply this cross quickly. Well, there's a lot of men up. It went beyond Tyler. It's coming back for Dobbin. Pumps it wide, and that's surely Barnsley's last hope. So life continues to be a struggle in the second division for Barnsley. That's 5 home games now without a victory. Portsmouth have come here and taken 3 points thanks to a header on the hour by Jimmy Gilligan. The only goal of the game. It's Barnsley 0, Portsmouth 1.
We keep trying to play football. I've always said it, that we can't compete with the majority of clubs in the second division in transfer fees and wages. So of course it's going to be difficult. I'm realistic and honest enough to know that. So of course it's going to be. But I do believe in these players that I've got, because on our day we can give anybody a game of football. But obviously we've lost a bit of confidence at the minute.
Well, if I can come over to you, Captain Steve, it struck me today that it's one or two of the more experienced players in the side who've perhaps lost a bit of confidence.
Yeah, probably so, John. I mean, speaking on behalf of most of the lads, confidence is probably the biggest word to sum it up. You know, I think the lads have lost a lot of confidence, and the only way we're going to come out of this is by getting results. And unfortunately, the last few weeks the results have not gone for us.
Your manager just said there, and I agree with him, though, that you always do attempt to play good football here. You wouldn't resort to the other sort of tactics that some clubs do.
Yeah, obviously the manager believes that the players here can do a job in this division, you know, up against the likes of Leeds United and Newcastle United. So I think as the season goes on, you know, we'll begin to prove them right.
After the break, the goal that lifted the...
They announced that they'd sacked Alan Clark, the former Leeds United and England striker, who was in his second managerial stint at Oakwell. John Shires reports.
Alan Clark made his name as a lethal striker with Leeds United. Remember this goal that won United the FA Cup in '72.
McNabb only half stopping him, Jones getting it across, and Clark going in, and Alan Clark has put Leeds ahead.
At first his managerial career was just as successful, and after a short first stint at Barnsley, he landed the plum job in charge back at Elland Road. But relegation to Division 2 was followed by the sack and a move back to Barnsley, where although his side built a reputation for attractive football, the results didn't match. Saturday's home defeat against Portsmouth was the final straw.
But it's still Beresford for Portsmouth, and that's 1-0 for Portsmouth.
We keep trying to play football. I've always said it, that we can't compete with the majority of clubs in the second division in transfer fees and wages. So of course it's going to be difficult. I'm realistic and honest enough to know that. So of course it's going to be. But I do believe in these players that I've got, because on our day we can give anybody a game of football.
Well, that was after the game on Saturday. The board didn't agree. Now Clark's looking for a new job. He's already missed out on one. Hull City today appointed the former Bradford assistant boss Stan Turnett as their new manager after...
from the board of directors. Meanwhile, Hull City have appointed a new manager following the dismissal of Colin Appleton last week.
Last season was one of Barnsley's best ever. They only narrowly missed out on a promotion playoff place. But recently things have gone badly wrong for manager Alan Clark. Despite attempts to strengthen the side on a limited budget, they've now lost 7 out of their last 9 league games. While the former England striker looks for a new job, his coach Eric Winstanley has taken over as caretaker. Meanwhile, struggling Hull City have appointed Crystal Palace's number 2.
Final insult, penalty. 1 under the 8, but still, West Brom 7, Barnsley 0.
There you are, 30 goals.
3 defeats. This was fairly typical, then a rare moment of subtlety from Brock, the header from McGee. Barnsley have signed Brian McCord from Derby on a month's loan, and when he squeezed through, John Burridge did his best to make things interesting. Barnsley, of course, without a manager and 7-0 losers last week. Newcastle, flying high in 3rd place, understandably had more confidence. This is McGee again, and some good work by the Lakes of Clive Baker. Then Steve Agnew burst through, and this was not one of his better shots. John Burridge seemed to see the funny side, but there hadn't been much in the first half for the 10,500 crowd to enjoy. Into the second half, and Newcastle thought they'd scored with Quinn. But the flag was up for offside. And in fact, it was Barnsley who were to take the lead midway through the second half. The long goal kick from Baker, the Newcastle defence strangely square, and David Curry. Joy for the man so nearly signed a fortnight ago by Ron Atkinson for Sheffield Wednesday. And Barnsley held the lead until 3 minutes from time. Then McGee and Quinn combining Quinn's 16th goal of the season. And those records now 1-3 lost.
The new Fiesta XR2i, 110.
The writings on Hull's wall. His chip was headed out. Cross warmed the palm of goalkeeper Hesford. The move which brought Hull's goal was neatly worked. McParland's back heel to Brown. Baker misses the punch. The shot from Wayne Jacobs blocked on the line by Warren, but it can only be handball, possibly by the Barnsley number 5 Malcolm Shotton, that the referee decided was worth a penalty kick. It's 2 minutes from half-time, and Andy Payton. Hull a goal to the good. Nearly 6,000 in the crowd at Boothbury Park, and they haven't had too much to celebrate this season. They might well have had another penalty to celebrate in the second half. At any rate, Billy Askew thought so. The referee this time didn't agree, and Barnsley capitalised. Owen Archdeacon's cross, Cooper's header at the far post, and how did that creep in? 1-1 just before the hour. 8 minutes later, it's Lee Warren caught in possession by David Curry, and never mind the hairstyle, feel the quality. 4 goals in 6 games for Curry. Finally, a moment that rather summed up Hull's day. Askew's run, a neat chip, the header from substitute Swan. It finished, though, Hull 1, Barnsley 2. Reasonably pleased about. Hull's defence was still digesting lunch when Robbie Earl...
Kevin Bond's cross. McCord goes up there in a bit of a tangle, and when Luther Blissett turns the ball back, Paul Molden, a simple job to put it in the net. And if that wasn't bad enough, Clive Baker appeared badly hurt. The game held up for 4 minutes. But eventually he was able to continue. Barnsley's response was a Julian Broadle run and a cross, and a Steve Lowndes shot which certainly deserved better reward than that. Into the second half now, and it's George Lawrence making the next Bournemouth break. And as Baker dashes from his line, Blissett rolls it under him. 2 down then, the Reds. But now how's this for a quiz question? Who got sent off without even getting onto the pitch? Answer: Barnsley's substitute, Ian Banks. Apparently he said something out of turn to the linesman while he was warming up. Now that is one for the record books. With 20 minutes to go, Barnsley haul themselves back. Agnew's free kick, and then Dobbin against the crossbar, and it's Lowndes who pounces. It didn't turn out to be enough though, and Barnsley were beaten 2-1.
Mel Machin took Norwich and Manchester City to the First Division within 3 years of becoming their manager. It may take him longer at Oakwell, that's why he signed a 3.5-year deal. But his immediate task is to stop Barnsley plunging into the Third Division. The man Manchester City sacked just 5 weeks ago faces a baptism of fire tomorrow as the Reds take on league leaders Leeds.
To make your first, home appearance, if you like, it's nothing better than the atmosphere that's going to be here tomorrow, and that is 15,000 to 20,000 people are going to be here. So I'm looking forward to it, and we're certainly looking forward to giving our home supporters the belated Christmas present with 3 points.
Confidence at least, but here's a reminder to Barnsley's defence of what they face tomorrow.
Right, now we come to the third of our reports.
United were beaten 1-0, but it was a big boost for Barnsley's new manager, Mel Machin. Ian McBride reports.
Mel Machin, Barnsley's new boss, has promised promotion in 3 years. Today he won the acclaim of fans before his first match in charge. They don't come tougher than Leeds United, and they showed early on just why they're doing so well this season. Hendry's cross providing Ian Baird with a chance. And it seemed the visitors were in danger of swamping struggling Barnsley. Gordon Strachan's fine run nearly catching out Clive Baker. The Reds did their best to seal their own fate. Archdeacon robbed by Hendry, who cut inside for Carl Schutt. But no one was there to finish it off. Barnsley were also having problems down the right. Whitlow's fine cross finding Vinnie Jones. It took the home side 39 minutes for their first serious strike on the Leeds goal, but it was well worth waiting for. Futcher's free kick is headed on by David Curry into the path of Darren Foreman. Joy for the Reds, but where was United's defence? In the second half, Leeds threw everyone forward, and in the 69th minute, it looked as if their patience was going to be rewarded. Malcolm Shotton's header falling into the path of Vinnie Jones. But United's joy was short-lived. His goal ruled to be offside. But Leeds refused to give up and they pressed forward again. Mel Sterling, the creator of so much down the right, setting up Ian Baird. But if Barnsley rode their luck, they also owe a debt of gratitude to goalkeeper Clive Baker for this fine stop coming up from Chris Fairclough's header. And with 10 minutes to go, Leeds should have at least grabbed a point, but Carl Shutt wasted this effort with others much better placed. So celebrations at the end for Mel Machin, and he'll be forever grateful to Darren Foreman for starting off his reign at Barnsley in spectacular style. Ian McBride, Calendar Sport at Oakwell.
Charged though, and it was just the tonic Barnsley needed. Peter Hutton reports.
A miss-hit shot from stand-in striker Darren Foreman brought the shock victory on Mel Machin's second day as the Barnsley boss. The goal totally against the run of play, but the understrength Barnsley defence held firm despite Leeds' domination of possession. With recent signing Mark Smith outstanding, Barnsley withstood the bombardment, and Foreman's 40th minute goal on his return to the first team proved that luck had turned for the second division strugglers. Final score, Barnsley 1, Leeds 0.
A disciplinary hearing. Scarborough's Ray McHale had just started the job when the incident happened. York's John Bird shook his hand as they waited to appear before the FA at a private hearing held in one of the hotel's meeting rooms. After the incident, Bird was arrested but was released without charge. 2 hours later, McHale emerged to reveal he'd been fined £800 and banned from the touchline for 3 months. He thought the hearing fair, but was worried about his future.
I'm a bit disappointed about the ban from the touchline with not having an assistant manager or anything. I suppose it could affect my chances of being in employment, if you like, but I've got to accept their decision. I've just got to get on with the job at Scarborough Football Club.
John Bird avoided reporters, but the FA said they'd fined him £1,000 and given him a similar touchline ban. But that was backdated to the time of the incident, following a touchline ban by his club.
I think it shows the FA is tough on these sort of incidents at football matches.
Well, we hope we're tough and consistent and let it be a warning to other managers.
Today's hearing in Manchester brings to 13 the number of players and coaches charged with bringing the game into disrepute so far this season, one of the highest numbers in recent years. The FA hope the level of fines and bans announced today will persuade other club officials that they're just as responsible for maintaining good conduct as the players on the pitch.
A man died.
What saved them was a magical minute in the second half. The equaliser came from David Curry when everyone else missed the ball. And then the winner seconds later. Steve Lowndes keeps his head, under pressure, rounds the goalkeeper and scores. A great boost for Barnsley with a home tie for them in the fourth round.
Hesitating in the last minute, let in Mark Barham to save a point for Brighton. But his lack of first-team action perhaps cost him some vital sharpness here. Barnsley had all the early pressure, and Jerry Taggart, another new man, is only stopped from getting his second goal in 2 games by Broddle on the line, a Barnsley player, of course, until a fortnight ago. With 17 minutes left, Plymouth, with only 3 away wins all season, were presented with a goal. Butcher here hesitates, then gives it away to Andy Thomas, the former Bradford player. At 10 minutes from time, the Barnsley equaliser, and watch the Plymouth marking here as Agnew's free kick comes over, and it's Mark Smith scoring against the club he left earlier this season, and didn't he enjoy it? Barnsley appealed for a late penalty when Lowndes went down with Robson, but Mr Ashworth said no, so it finished Barnsley 1, Plymouth 1.
Close to the relegation zone, cost Alan Clark his job before Christmas. Since Mel Machin took over, the team have lost just once in 5 outings, and an FA Cup run represents financial security for the club, and realistically, the supporters' only chance of watching major success this season.
The Cup is something special, and certainly within this area, that people look forward to, the FA Cup coming around. From a player's point of view, having beaten Leicester away, which was an excellent result for us, there's no reason why we can't get through to the next round.
Barnsley have already lost twice this season to Ipswich, but that was before Mel Machin took charge. And after the last round win at Leicester, spirits here at Oakwell are high, and the feeling is that the Reds can triumph where Leeds failed. Sheffield Wednesday's opponents and it's
Barnsley 2, Ipswich Town 0, and the Reds stunned the visitors with a 6-minute goal. Dobbins high centre, headed home by Taggart. Then, as they began to pull Ipswich apart, Glover's low cross was slid home by Cooper. Rourke nearly made it 3 before half-time with a long back pass which beat his keeper but came back off a post. The second half saw Barnsley strangely subdued, with Lowndes, Butcher and Shotton all clearing off their own line. but Ipswich couldn't get back into the game, so Barnsley move on to round 5. Ian McBride, Calendar Sport at Oakwell.
And there were 6 goals.
Considering a new PA system and internal telephone system, which would cost up to £50,000.
Already. He enjoyed that, didn't he? Minutes later, it was 2-0. This was well taken by Steve Cooper. Ironically, Barnsley didn't have many chances, and this was another one. Watch this incredible mistake by John Walk. The goalkeeper stranded. He just watches in disbelief, and they were lucky that that didn't go in.
And a legend, but he's probably still fit enough to run down the wing. After his globe-trotting years, Stan's back home now, and tonight admirers came from all over the world. Anyway, we'll be back in a...
Tony Adcock, and that glanced off the Barnsley bar on its way over. Bradford had the better of the first half, but Alan Davis's quick thinking here got no reward. As every schoolboy knows, you can't score from an indirect free kick. Defences had the upper hand in the second half. David Campbell's cross in the very last minute provided one of Clive Baker's few alarms. Final score in front of almost 10,000 fans. Accidental handball maybe by Calderwood. Nothing was given. Taggart's shot went wide. Then Futcher plays it in. Digby drops it and loses it again under pressure from Agnew. Cooper's shot off the line. Glover's shot. Gittin's knee on the line. And away finally by Kerslake. Third place Swindon had their chances too. Clive Baker here takes the only option open to him under pressure from Calderwood. And Calderwood wasn't to be denied. Kerslake receives the short corner, and Calderwood gets there well in front of Smith for his second goal of the season. But the low-key celebration suggests a team which expects to win, as they had done 5 times on their travels already this season. Gwyn Thomas was playing his first game in 13 months, and he certainly showed that his knee ligament trouble was well behind him. Swindon didn't sit on their lead. White's header and a more positive finish from Shearer would surely have sunk Barnsley without trace. Late in the second half, Steve Agnew reverted to the central striker's role he once filled as a youngster, and Digby earned his money. Finally, Futcher pushing forward, Agnew again, and Thomas again. But Barnsley lost at Oakwell for the first time since Mel Machin took over. Barnsley 0, Swindon.
United had a roasting from manager Dave Bassett after last week's poor performance at home against Plymouth. Despite this goal from Brian Deane, they were far from convincing, but the manager believes they've learned their lesson.
I've pointed out what my feelings were on the subject, and the boys know that I wasn't happy with that performance, and I felt they weren't hungry enough, and certainly if they play like that against Barnsley, they'll have problems.
United came out on top when the two sides met at Barnsley earlier in the season, but that was before Mel Machin took over and reorganised the Barnsley club. Now everything is set for South Yorkshire's game of the season.
The company organising the World...
Sides committed to attacking football. And how's this to warm any Sheffield United fan's heart? 33,000 in at Bramall Lane for a magnificent cup tie. The first hour was just ridiculous, really. And the first goal came after a couple of minutes. The corner comes across, all kinds of chaos, and Mark Smith scores. Quite a well-taken header, that, actually. But United were back on terms within a couple of minutes. Agana's cross to Deane, Baker only half saves it, and eventually Carl Bradshaw scores. We're still inside the first 15 minutes when Barnsley took the lead. Now watch this boy Glover, he had a tremendous game. He takes the defence out right. And the cross, well, it's a shot as well, isn't it? Eventually it falls nicely for Cooper, and Barnsley lead 2-1. Now Sheffield United just got their game together towards the end of the first half. Again, Agana causes the problems. And watch this incredible save off the line by Paul Futcher. There it is. He had a tremendous game with Futcher. The ball's still not cleared, though. United pressing frantically. Baker manages to get the clearance. And Barnsley are still leading 2-1. But into the second half, they lose that lead. Agana, who else? The ball eventually comes back to Colin Hill. Now watch this shot. One of the hardest I've seen struck all season. 30 yards out. Left-footed, it rattles the crossbar, nearly knocks it off, and there is Bryson to score, making it 2-2. Sheffield United nearly snatched it towards the end. Now watch this beautiful cross from Brian Deane. To the far post, Whitehouse comes in, and he should have scored, shouldn't he? But I don't know about you, I'll settle for the replay. See you at Oakwell on Wednesday.
FA Cup pairing between these two sides is in excess of 60,000. Each side make 2 changes compared with Sunday's lineups. For Barnsley, they come in defence. Paul Cross and Carl Tyler replacing the injured Mark Smith and Malcolm Shotton, who's been suspended by the club. Sheffield United, in fact, field the side which finished the first match. Bob Booker and Dane Whitehouse, who were substitutes then, replacing Simon Webster and Ian Bryson. And Bryson, after scoring the goal which brought about this replay, now has his ankle in plaster. And among the watchers, the man most keenly interested, Alec Ferguson, the manager of Manchester United, whose team meet the winners. The team one off the bottom in the second division, kick off against the team one off the top. Barnsley attacking the goal to our left, a cracking atmosphere and every expectation of a continuation of the match at Bramall Lane, which saw 4 goals and plenty of goal-mouth incident. Sheffield United, and the first free kick is against the captain of Barnsley, Steve Agnew. And Sheffield United wearing what are officially described as lime green shirts. Steve Cooper is down the middle. This is Glover. Started the second month of a loan from Nottingham Forest. Nice turn by Futcher, but not the best of passes. Clearly off balance when he made it. Paul Cross having to go all the way back. Free kick is given against Colin Hill. Obviously thought he'd won the ball. Still, defenders outnumber attackers behind the ball. Agnew takes it after the dummy run. Well stopped. Taggart, who got up on it, headed down well, and the goalkeeper did well. Nice free kick after the dummy, and Jerry Taggart got ahead of his man, and the goalkeeper recovered his position. God, it's hectic stuff, and plenty of mistakes too. Looking for a back flick, didn't get one. It's a good shot. John Gannon's effort. And he was more than a little unlucky. Came through the crowd, got a deflection indeed for the corner. As it was nodded out, came straight to Gannon. And off the defender, perilously close to the post. Corner results. Gannon. Two players down. They were taking position from the corner when they clashed. 11 and 7 you're looking for. The feet were up. And I think in a way the Barnsley man came off worse, although he's up the quicker. And I think he might need a bit of time at least to clear his head, Carl Bradshaw. Here comes Mark Todd to replace the unhappy Carl Bradshaw. Useful from Gannon. First time cross, met by Tyler. Free kick. He was turning, and I think that the Sheffield player made more of it than there was, and I think the referee came up with the right decision. Just to speak. Might be a shot from Colin Hill. There is, and it's a good save. It's Colin Hill, whose shot came back off the crossbar, for which Ian Bryson got the second equaliser on Sunday. Certainly the best shot of the half from Colin Hill. Goalkeeper had to be quite slippy. Sheffield United unbeaten since their defeat on New Year's Day. 4 wins and 4 draws since then. This is Agnew. Robinson to take the corner. Clever is the nearest to the goalkeeper at the moment. Up comes Tyler on the near side of the 6-yard area. Taggart falls away. Met well by Staincliffe. Same permutation with Cooper to come from deeper. A claim by Tracy. Clearance for Agana, and it might just find him. Well played by Baker. Really used his head. Really did well, a long clearance down the field. That was route 1 if ever I've seen it. Todd. Corner conceded by Butcher. Fine clearance by Tracy. Set up the chance. And he was denied by the other goalkeeper, Clive Baker. Agana. Ball waiting. Dean! Great save. Agana missed kick. No danger this time for Clive Baker. But twice inside a minute he's saved his team. 2 excellent saves. First of all, coming out to use his head. And then from Dean, from point-blank range, he was quickly at him. Dean, to tell the truth, didn't control the first chance. It's as hard as the Yorkshire pit here. Butcher. It's a fine ball if Glover can take it. Todd did well. Robinson. Agnew. Cricket. Which of us tripped him seems to be the comments of Booker and Staincliffe. Agnew threatens to take it quickly. He's got 4 in a line with the far post from his point of view, the near from ours. Straight as a die into the midriff of Tracy. Butcher. Could be caught out. Handball. Don't really think that Steve Lowndes believed he was going to fool anybody. Free kick is quickly taken. Lowndes was still having a conversation with the referee. But it's another poor cross. There have been many of those. Cross. Oh dear, oh dear. John Gannon was the offender. And then there was a comment, was there, by Bob Booker. 20 minutes left. Butcher with the free kick. Taggart coming from left to right. In on it now, didn't make it. Got there, but actually missed the ball. It's corner. It's a gift corner, which Robinson will take. Tracy punches when he might well have held the ball. Didn't take any chances, presumably. Frost has gone forward, that's a good ball from Lowndes. Just a little bit too far, to tell the truth. And he tried to find Glover, did Paul Cross. The pass, which looked exquisite, certainly in comparison with much which has gone before, was in fact just a little bit fast and took Cross a little bit too far away, and he was off balance. Quite sure which was thicker, the slices or the meat in the middle. And another challenge. And Garner is complaining. Dean is the player down. And sometimes you think I might as well leave the ball alone. Extraordinary. I mean, they're pushing and shoving and swinging and everything else. The ball was quite irrelevant. Look at that, they're holding each other right from the word go. It won't come down. I mean, just unbelievable. Banks, they're queuing up. Tyler, Cooper. It's Tracy's. And there will be 30 more minutes of extra time. Lowndes. Whitehouse unable to keep it in. Glover, nick from Agnew. Robinson, good pace, good save. Didn't really get hold of the ball, but Tracy got down and Stancliffe hacked it away. Really was a good run. Coming right to left by Robinson. And he didn't really hit it truly. Dean and Tyler. Agana. Webster. Simple header that was so easy for the goalkeeper. Booker just nodding down with really no power. And a better effort looks very possible. Cross. Pulled down. This is Dean Whitehouse. Cleanly away, but he met Taggart. Chase for Glover. Tracy is there and clears the roof. That was as precise as you like. He did precisely what he intended to do. Dave Bassett is now down on the touchline. And the half-time whistle blown with the ball out of the ground. And it's still 0-0. 15 minutes remaining, otherwise it's a replay. There's some test for Alec Ferguson as to whether he feels that he would have to come again. Glover. Robinson. Well struck. Well, it was when his boot made contact with the ball, but the accuracy was considerably lacking. Who actually were wide of the goal, as I think we'll see here. It's always going away. Dean. Another launch by Tyler. Whitehouse, and he was held. Booker is already up. Morris is arriving. Robinson. Webster did well. Agana. That's good play by Agana. Couldn't find the finish. The footwork was far better than the shot. Nicely round again. Well wide. Dean. Still Dean. Good save. Butcher just couldn't get it, Dean. Certainly Dean's best strike of the evening, and a very good save by Baker. And Dean is wide. That's his third good one of the match. Turned away. Agnew. Last putt for the cheeks. Up comes Futcher. Oh, it was dropped in, but they were all watching. Final whistle blows the end of a contest which was definitely one for the committed. Smile on the face of the referee. The dressing rooms will surely be scenes of exhaustion. And they all have to come out again on Monday and do it all over again. Seemingly wanted to talk to the referee, being held away by the players, and the manager of Sheffield United clearly very unhappy about something. The boos are predictable, and I have to say Dave Bassett's action was not the most sensible action he's ever taken as a football manager. 0-0, the final outcome. And for most of the time, for all the effort, that looked like the
early way through against Hull.
Football manager. 0-0, the final outcome. And for most of the time, for all the effort, that looked like the
early way through against Hull, but cross is well blocked by Jacobs, and it's Steve Doyle who brings it away. The best snapshot of the match came from Ian Banks. And Barnsley had the better of the first half against the team now keen to sign their sacked centre-back Malcolm Shotton. Shotton's replacement, Carl Tyler, won't have done much for the blood pressure of his goalkeeper or his manager. But Barnsley were soon creating their own chances again. Glover gets the benefit here of a slightly fortunate rebound. He's got Banks free to his right, just overruns the ball, and credit to Ian Hesford, the timing is run out just right. The Barnsley goal came from Robinson's corner and Steve Cooper's header. Hesford says, where was the marking? The Barnsley fans don't mind that, and that's the third of Barnsley's last 4 goals that Cooper has scored. Barnsley had the chances to wrap it up before half-time. Some good work here from Steve Agnew. He gets support from Cross. This is Glover. A little flick, and Taggart must surely score, but credit to Wayne Jacobs for getting in to block his shot by the post. Another fine bit of skill here from Agnew. There it is, but the shot just too high. Barnsley continued to press in the second half. And it's another long-range effort from Agnew, and Hesford for a big man getting down well. As the second half wore on, the efforts of the FA Cup appeared to be taking their toll on Barnsley, and Hull began to have chances of their own. It's Demange here making the overlapping run down the right. Couldn't really make the most of it. But a similar move brought Hull their goal. This time it's Andy Payton who makes the run down the right. And when Hesford punches it out, it's headed straight back in by Jacobs, who despite Lowndes' efforts on the line, it crept in. A valuable away point for Hull City. Barnsley won.
A cracking volley for a second goal in successive games. Roy Aitken was a commanding figure for Newcastle. He was the architect of their second goal. A perfect cross, and Kevin Scott timing his run to make it a day for defenders. Scott only just making the side too. Well, Mark McGee has benefited from Aitken's service on several occasions, but he returns the compliment. Great ball, and the skipper's finish even better. Aitken's first goal for Newcastle. 3-0 up, and United relax a little, giving the ball away to Steve Agnew. Barnsley forward reacts positively and tucks away a fine solo goal. But it was only a temporary stumble. Early in the second half, Ray Ranson's cross and Paul Futcher's arm goes up. That's a penalty. Mark McGee is never one to look a gift horse. A clean strike, it's 4-1 and 6 points in 4 days for Newcastle.
After 330 minutes of football. Now Barnsley have to lift themselves to avoid dropping into Division 2. The Blades' success story, though, goes on. It was never a dirty game, mainly because the referee got a hold of it very quickly. This is the first incident. Look, Cross, bad challenge that, and he was rightly booked for that effort with Mark Todd. This was one of the best efforts in the first half from Barnsley. The cross comes over, Robinson's underneath it, good save by Tracy. But I think you'll agree that this next effort is surely the easiest chance any player will have in a whole season. Watch this appalling cross, picked up by Bradshaw. He must score, he must score. He doesn't. We're into the second half now, a spectacular effort from Cooper. So after 90 minutes, it was Barnsley 0, Sheffield United 0, and you got the impression that one mistake was going to win this game or lose it. Here it comes. The challenge from Taggart is clumsy rather than malicious, and a penalty was given. Look, none of the Barnsley players are protesting. Here's another view of it, taken just inside the penalty area, and a chance for Tony Agana to give Sheffield United that vital lead. Beautifully taken penalty. Ironically, Barnsley could have got back immediately. Free kick is taken. Now watch Agnew's role in it. Gets the ball there, runs through. Tracy saves well. But it's Sheffield United who have the glamour tie against Manchester United in the quarter-finals. On Sunday, of course.
Prevented Oldham going ahead. Former Halifax man Rick Holden's had a big say in their great season so far. Palmer's knocked down. Ian Marshall drives just past the post. Then in the 24th minute, the kind of luck you need when you're at the wrong end of the table. Steve Cooper mistimes his jump, and Oldham skipper Milligan heads firmly past his own keeper. Oldham was still very much on top, though. Holden again the provider out on the left, and just a hint that Ian Marshall is just an emergency striker these days. They didn't have it all their own way. Steve Cooper to Mark Robinson. Ian Banks makes it to the byline, and his deep cross is headed back by Steve Agnew. All kinds of problems in the Oldham defence. More of the same in the second half. Skipper Steve Agnew with a great run into the area, and Mark Robinson at the far post unlucky to see his header hit the post. Lee Glover can't convert the rebound. Barnsley was scenting their first league win of the year now. Banks with the flighted cross, Cooper's looping header just over the top. Finally proof that it just wasn't Milligan's or Oldham's day. A free header. Barnsley won. Oldham.
It's been a frustrating season for Mark Todd. He's been restricted to only 7 first-team games, but his luck changed yesterday when he was called up by Northern Ireland for the very first time in the squad for next Tuesday's game against Norway. Sheffield United beat Barnsley, of course, in their FA Cup 5th round marathon a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be looking for a league double today. Still unresolved, though, is the ownership battle at Bramall Lane. The sooner that is settled, the better for a club dedicated to winning promotion for the 2nd successive season. But Barnsley come forward with Banks. Well, he was trying to play it wide of Morris's left foot and couldn't do. Barnes on this time to Saville, and Barnsley have plenty of men up, and he sensibly played that ball out to Paul Cross here. Cooper's calling for it on the far side of the penalty area and gets it as well, and here's Agnew, chance for Steve Agnew. Well, he pivoted, and he's a good striker of a ball, is Agnew. Cross to Cooper, and his header deliberate. Agnew in a very good position indeed, but they are difficult to keep down, especially on this surface where the ball is bouncing quite high. Owen Smith. A lot of private scraps going on out there. That was nicely done by Cooper, and Banks takes it on. Romping down the right now goes Fleming. McCord on his outside, and he uses him as well. Good cross now, and Sheffield could be in trouble. Well caught by Tracy. He did well there. It was nicely cut back. And here comes Sheffield again. Going straight at Barnsley's heart. Futcher using all his experience to marshal Brian Deane out of the way. Todd. And there's Whitehurst. Oh, and Futcher and Baker again not really reading things between them. So the ball spun off Futcher's chest over the line. Clive Baker says, come on, what are we doing here? Baker is back in the side after a bout of flu, and it's a good job as well with young Ian Wardle breaking a leg last week. Gannon with the corner for Sheffield United, and there's Whitehurst's header. It's in the net now, and it's a goal for Sheffield United, and it's Paul Wood who claims it. Whitehurst's header initially causing the damage. There he goes, and it's right under the bar, and it comes down and is smacked over the line. And here comes David Barnes now, looking for the second. And Barnes getting in behind the defence. And Barnsley suddenly are distraught. Well-directed header from Morris. And Futcher will have to be careful here. Deane almost won it from him. Bryson still tussling. And now Deane takes it on, and there's no whistle. So that's going to go behind for a corner kick. The first real incident of the second half. Bryson. They were looking for the flick on. Didn't happen, so Gannon feeds Bryson again. He's more time to cross it. Well, he took plenty of time, and the Baker's off his line with the punch. Hill again in penalty area. Well stopped by Baker. Colin Hill is desperate to score for Sheffield United. Goals haven't been easy for him to come by since he joined the club from Colchester United. Barnsley hoping to get back into the game rather quickly. Cooper flies in for the header. Then the ball bounced very awkwardly there, so cross for Barnsley now. Then it's towards Cooper, Agnew, and Steve Agnew equalises for Barnsley. He was left all alone. Barnsley have got their equaliser. Cooper climbing in. Agnew was left totally unmarked, and although Tracy got his left hand to it, he couldn't keep that ball out. Headed on and taken on the chest by Dean, who's trying to get that ball over to Bryson. It's a forlorn chase, but in fact the ball did spin away from a Barnsley foot. It's a corner. And Sheffield will throw everybody up now. Clive Baker is not the tallest of goalkeepers, of course, so these tall people up there can cause him problems. Todd, a little headed down to Gannon. Now Bryson. The cross. Oh, what an excellent attempt that one was. A really good header from Bob Booker, who scored his 50th league goal last week. But Booker climbing well for it, and a strong header, just that wrong side of the upright. And the ball ricocheted for Cooper. Cooper out to Robinson. Barnsley have a lot of people up around the penalty box this time for Robinson to aim at. There's the cross. It was kept away from Saville by Booker. Well, it should be a lively ending to the game. Taggart was in quickly. Plays a good pass out again to Robinson, who's seeing plenty of the ball now. And Robinson, he's got the pace and he's cut the ball back. Turned aside by Morris now. And it's the Sheffield United bench which is looking a little bit anxious now. Saville laying it back for McCord. Anywhere will do. Webster. Again, Dean has to do an awful lot in chasing here with Taggart, to show some good composure. Well, he's played in the first division for Manchester City. Keep on coming, I think he's saying. And he again steps aside, Dean. And this is quite spirited from Barnsley now. Perhaps they sense they could get a shock result here. Oh, lovely header on, and Dean to Whitehurst, who is onside. Now then, Billy Whitehurst turns beautifully inside the area. Turned aside Futcher, leaves it for Dean, and Dean's shot kept at bay by Baker. O'Connell challenging Booker for it. Winning a throw-in. Leaving it to Cross. Agnew has only got O'Connell in there. We've had the full 90 minutes. Agnew out here, maybe Barnsley's last chance then, with Robinson. And there's the cross over towards Saville, and Andy Saville has got a winner for Barnsley in the last minute. His first goal for the club since he joined them from Walsall. What a time to get it. There is silence on the Sheffield United bench. Robinson has posed a few problems since he came on, and his cross is perfectly flighted. Saville times his run to perfection as well, and his header is too firm for Tracy to keep out. The referee looks at his watch, and that's it. And Barnsley have won the day. Mel Machin off the seat. Happiness belongs to Barnsley, and what a significant victory this could turn out to be for Barnsley as they attempt to stay in the second division, but a sickening blow for Sheffield United's promotion prospects. It ends here at Bramwell Lane. Sheffield United 1, Barnsley 2.
I was proud of our lads today because we battled away and we went a goal down. Silly goal again we gave away, but we battled back and showed some character to get a result.
What do you do now to try and lift the players' morale again? Because they must be down after 2 results like they've had.
Well, if they want to feel sorry for themselves, then, you know, that's best of luck to them. But, you know, I'm not interested in feeling sorry. We've got games to go. I still believe we can do it. It's up to them, really. I can only do the coaching and managing so far. If they haven't got the bottle for it, then there's nothing.
Northern Ireland duty in midweek did well to see it. The goal came 5 minutes from half-time. Paul Cross's corner, Saville beyond the far post, and Mark Smith the first to react. Smith almost turned villain in the second half, Barnsley making things difficult for themselves. Smith caught in possession by Penny, and Barnsley very lucky that Steen was offside. If Barnsley stay up, much credit will be due to the captain Steve Agnew, who's never let his head drop, and his cross almost brought a second goal for Steve Cooper. One was enough though. Barnsley won, Oxford nil. The third goal the 19-year-old defender has scored since joining Barnsley from Manchester City. But within 13 minutes, West Ham were level, and it was Trevor Morley, who'd failed to stop Taggart scoring, who lost his mark at Tyler at the other end. West Ham's 20th goal in 6¼ matches. Their fans dreaming of the playoffs, but near the end, Tyler almost made amends for the West Ham goal, heading Agnew's corner against the bar. Cross going close for Barnsley from Saville's ball. Returning the compliment, Cross's corner for Saville's header, off the line by Shearer. Into the second half, and the fiercest shot of the match. Monday's cross cleared as far as Miller, and Clive Baker earned his month's wages with that save alone, I reckon. But he was beaten after 52 minutes. The free kick from Brooks, and the marking not tight enough on Trevor Aylett, who'd had pain-killing injections before the match against his former club. Barnsley kept surging forward right to the end. 3 minutes from time. Fleming involved. Lowndes there too. And finally O'Connell into the side netting. Then into injury time. A free kick, the captain Agnew. McCord. Still it won't go in. Barnsley 0, Bournemouth 1. It's had several chances, and such flowing football as there was came from them. This cross by Shutt leading to a shooting chance for Vinnie Jones. But if there wasn't much flowing football, there was flowing blood, as for Leeds centre-half Chris Fairclough. He was off the field for 13 minutes, having 7 stitches inserted in a head wound. You can't keep Vinnie Jones out of the action for long. Must be my throw, referee. Barnsley's Steve Agnew thought it better not to argue. The referee did. Barnsley's throw. Vinnie's disgust. A conversation ensued. But this was all forgotten at the end of the first half. In time, the referee added on for the initial treatment to Fairclough's injury. Fairclough himself headed Leeds in front, his 7 stitches possibly in less danger from heading the ball than from Vinnie's celebrations. Everything changed midway through the second half. Barnsley brought on both substitutes, and within 10 minutes they'd both scored. First, Mervyn Day hesitates and is lost, and Brendan O'Connell scores his first goal for Barnsley. Suddenly, Leeds began to panic. There was still nearly 20 minutes left. But when they won this corner, Strachan raced to take it as though they were 2-0 down in the last minute. They soon were 1 down. A long throw from the right by Cross, headed on by Saville at the near post and in by Owen Archdeacon. Some Leeds fans watching all this had extra cause for worry. The public address system announced with some glee that if they didn't move their cars soon, they'd be moved for them by a forklift truck. On the field, Leeds threw everything into a desperate assault. Chapman came closest, but it wasn't to be. The manager, though, didn't give his players a roast.
The gaffer was magnificent, to be fair. He's lifting everybody up. I expected him to go, you know, bananas and that, but he was great. He's just lifting everybody up, saying, you know, come on. You know, we played quite well. You know, let's keep that going.
Well, I'm over the moon actually for the crowds, the gaffer and Barnsley Football Club, because it was a great result. We got the double over Leeds and it was terrific.
I think the crowd helps Leeds United maybe win 3 games a season. They put the referee and the players, they put the referee under so much pressure and the crowd makes so much noise. And it's good for Leeds United. They get behind their team and it can only be good for Leeds.
So, Barnsley have lifted themselves 4 points clear of the extraordinary afternoon. Banks' header for Andy Saville, close to the first goal. Barnsley had reason to be confident after their 2-1 win at Leeds in midweek, but some slack defensive play almost let West Brom in. Craig Shakespeare here with a cross from the left for Ford, and Goodman just unable to capitalise. West Brom had beaten Barnsley 7-0 at the Hawthorns earlier in the season, and they got a lucky break halfway through the first half when Simeon Hodgson's cross hit Carl Tyler and beat the goalkeeper. Party time for the travelling band. The young centre-back, though, almost made amends from Banks's free kick. Stuart Naylor with the first of several fine saves. Then, 5 minutes after the break, the equaliser, Agnew's free kick. And Brendan O'Connell. His first goal for Barnsley came at Leeds, his reward 90 minutes on the field, and the manager's reward a second goal. But more defensive slackness cost Barnsley dear, Futcher's header only creating trouble, and Darren Bradley capitalising. 56 minutes gone. Barnsley laid siege. Futcher, Saville, Agnew and Burgess from under his own bar. Well, Steve Agnew never gives up. His cross met by Fleming. Saville up with the goalkeeper. O'Connell into the side netting. Barnsley pushed more and more defenders forward. Fleming again. Tyler's in there. Not very far away by Harby. And finally Saville stretching the goalkeeper. The point was saved with 2 minutes left. A sparkling end to Oakwell's season. A sparkling finish from Andy Saville.
Barnsley when Borough's best move of the game ended with Bernie Slaven's cross, headed wide by Ian Baird. Lifelines like that just cannot be passed by. 6 minutes before half-time, that missed opportunity looked even worse. Steve Agnew's free kick, defender Mark Smith heads home comfortably, and Middlesbrough's wafer-thin confidence left in shreds. In the second half, nobody did more than Baird himself to make up for his early miss. He certainly looked the most likely player to haul Borough back into the game, but finding the right finish was a different matter. It was turning into another night of agony for the loyal crowd. With their own safety in sight, Barnsley made little